Welcome back. This time we're talking about Mr. Right, a downright absurd comedy starring Sam Rockwell and Anna Kendrick. Now this is a film that got a very limited theatrical release. It's actually credited as a 2015 film, apparently made its debut in April, but never made it anywhere near me as far as theaters go. And really the only reason I even know about this film was I was on IMDb one day and saw this movie poster that had Anna Kendrick, and I will freely admit this, she was wearing cat ears, and I just stopped. I was like, why is Anna Kendrick wearing cat ears? I need to find this out. Clicked on the movie poster, saw that it also starred Sam Rockwell, and it's written by Max Landis, who gave us Chronicle as well as the very funny American Ultra. And I was interested, I was intrigued, I wanted to see this movie, and it never made it to theaters anywhere near me. And it's one that I've just been keeping an eye out for ever since. And earlier today, I had a few hours to kill and thought, you know what, I'm going to see if that's available at least for online rental. And guess what, it is. So the story focuses on this hitman, played by Sam Rockwell. And we don't actually learn his name until later in the film, so I'm not going to use it in the review. But needless to say, he is a hitman who has, for whatever reason, decided that instead of killing his targets, he will kill the people who hire him. And this, needless to say, has angered a number of his clients as well as his bosses, and they send another hitman played by Tim Roth to finish him off. Meanwhile, the hitman one day comes across Anna Kendrick's character, Martha, who has just dealt with a very bad breakup, and she has dealt with it in a pretty bad way. Lots of alcohol and a lot of self-pity. Well, these two characters meet, they have a connection, and let's just say craziness ensues. Now I will admit, there has been a bevy of films over the last few years involving a hitman slash spy who meets a woman who has no idea what he does, and then supposedly hilarity ensues. The Killers, we had Night and Day, and even American Ultra played on this trope as well. But I will say this film definitely takes it in a different direction, and one that I found really hilarious in a dark, comedic way. Now let me say up front, this is not a great film, and in fact it actually starts off pretty slow. Through the first 15 minutes or so, I was really worried I was in for a pretty bad experience, but it definitely picks up after that. But that first 15 minutes, it does spend a lot of time on Anna Kendrick's character, and that's not a negative automatically, because she's actually a strong force in this movie, and she definitely adds a lot to it. But that first 15 minutes is when she's dealing with the breakup, and she's basically drunk this whole time, and it's not a very funny drunk. It's more of that drunk friend that you're just like, please just go away until you're sober so we can stay friends kind of drunk. So yeah, it was a little grating at times, I'll admit. But once our two characters actually meet, that's when the movie really takes off. And I will say, once it hits its stride, this is a story that just revels in being ridiculous. The hitman, he definitely has issues, and frankly, so does Martha as well. And the movie has a lot of fun playing those issues to the extreme. The best film I could compare this to, and it's also not a good film in the traditional sense, but one that is just a true guilty pleasure of mine, is The Big Hit, back from the 90s. One of the very first films that Mark Wahlberg acted in. Like this film, it was also about a hitman, and he played a hitman that frankly just couldn't stand the idea of people not liking him, which is a bad trait to have when you're a hitman. And it had a ridiculous cast. The acting was not stellar, but there are just some lines from that movie that my friends and I still quote to this day. In a lot of ways, this film feels like a spiritual successor to that movie. There's just so much insanity. Sam Rockwell, I think he's one of the most underrated actors out there, and he just has a lot of fun with this. So does Anna Kendrick. Once her character sobers up. Tim Roth, I think he's just playing himself in this movie. And then there's also a great supporting role played by RZA as this seemingly at first just throwaway kind of minion to the bad guys, but just his character begins to develop, and it's hilarious. There is this side plot involving these mobsters that want to hire the hitman to get rid of one of their own, and in the second act it kind of drags. Whenever they're on, it's like, okay, what's the point of this part? Once everything kind of comes to a head in the third act, it all works out, but it doesn't change the fact that in the second act, whenever we're with these characters, the film does really slow down some. But other than that, I just had a lot of fun with this movie. It's not a great film. It's ludicrous. It's insane. It makes no sense at times. And frankly, that's why I enjoyed it so much. If you like these kind of crazy, just off-the-wall kind of action comedies, this is one I would highly recommend. I actually think it's better than a guilty pleasure, so I don't know if I would call it that, but it's one that I really enjoyed, and one that, if I get a group of friends together and let's just watch a funny comedy, this is one that I would recommend. So as I said, this is a film that I don't think a lot of people have actually seen, but if you have, let me know what you thought about it. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Also, have you seen The Big Hit? What did you think about it? I'm actually thinking about starting a new segment on the channel about some of my guilty pleasures, and that's definitely going to be one on the list if I can get that started. As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.